When you think of Superman's allies, who comes to mind first? Probably Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, or maybe even Supergirl. If you're a comic fan, you might throw in members of the Justice Society or the Justice League. But let's be real, hardly anyone expected Mr. Terrific to walk into Superman's story and instantly become one of the coolest heroes in the entire DCU. That's the magic of James Gunn. Instead of sticking to the same A-list names, he's digging deeper into DC's catalog, pulling out characters that even lifelong fans sometimes forget about. And in doing so, he's giving us one of the most surprising breakout stars of the new cinematic universe. But the question is, how did a character who was once written off as a C-list brainiac suddenly become one of the most talked about heroes on the big screen? It all goes back to late 2022, when James Gunn had just taken over DC Studios with Peter Safran. Fans were on edge, waiting to see what his vision for the DCU would look like. Gunn being Gunn, he didn't drop full announcements. He dropped hints. One day, out of nowhere, he posted Alex Ross's cover art of Justice Society of America, number 76. At the time, it seemed random, but eagle-eyed fans noticed who was front and center. Michael Holt, aka Mr. Terrific. Speculation took off immediately. Was Gunn really bold enough to bring a character this obscure into his new DCU? Or was it just a fun comic post with no deeper meaning? Looking back now, that post wasn't just fan service, it was foreshadowing. Gunn was seeding interest in a hero who would later become one of the highlights of Superman. When set photos from Superman started leaking, the internet had its answer. Mr. Terrific wasn't just in the movie, he looked incredible. His suit was nearly one-to-one with the comics. The sleek jacket, the iconic fair play down his arms, it was like someone ripped the character straight off the page. For fans, this was a sigh of relief. We've all seen what happens when studios over-design comic costumes, turning them into unrecognizable armor suits. Gunn's team resisted that urge. They respected the source material, and it paid off immediately. And the actor? Eddie Gathegi, a name that instantly sparked conversation. Comic movie fans remembered him as Darwin in X-Men First Class, a character unfairly killed off almost instantly. Now, years later, Gathegi was getting a second chance. And this time, he wasn't background fodder. He was one of the breakout stars of the DCU's very first movie. By the time Superman premiered, the internet had already dubbed him the drippiest hero in the film. But style was only the beginning, because the deeper story of Mr. Terrific goes way beyond looks. If you watch the Arrowverse shows on the CW, you probably remember their version of Mr. Terrific. And if we're being honest, it didn't exactly do him justice. That version leaned into every tired, nerdy sidekick stereotype. He was awkward, sidelined, and his potential was wasted on cheesy dialogue and background support roles. The brilliance, the leadership, the charisma, none of that really translated. James Gunn's Superman changed that overnight. Instead of a caricature, Holt was presented as a confident genius. His intelligence wasn't just mentioned in passing, it shaped the story. His tech wasn't just a gimmick, it was essential. This shift mattered. For the first time, general audiences got to see why comic fans had been begging for Holt to get his moment for years. And to really understand why that portrayal hit so hard, you have to look back at his origin. Michael Holt first appeared in The Spectre number 54 in 1997. His backstory was tragic. His wife and unborn child died in a car accident. Holt, despite his genius and success, spiraled into despair. At one point, he stood on a bridge, ready to end his life. That's when the Spectre intervened. He told Holt the story of Terry Sloan, the original Mr. Terrific from the 1940s. Sloan had been a man without powers, but his commitment to fairness and justice made him a legend. His motto, fair play, wasn't just a slogan. It was a mission. Hearing that story changed Holt's life. He realized that intelligence and skill meant nothing without purpose. Inspired by Sloan, Holt took on the mantle of Mr. Terrific, carrying the fair play philosophy into a modern world. This was the moment Michael Holt became more than a prodigy. He became a symbol. Let's break down just how brilliant Michael Holt really is. By age 6, he was reading advanced physics and theoretical science texts. At 14, he was in college. As an adult, he earned multiple doctorates and master's degrees in fields ranging from law and psychology to physics, engineering, and political science. In DC lore, Holt is officially recognized as the third smartest man on Earth, behind only Batman and Lex Luthor. That alone puts him in rare company. But here's what separates him from characters like Luthor. Holt isn't just brains. he's an athlete too. An Olympic gold medalist, a black belt in 6 martial arts, and a man who can hold his own in combat. Brains, brawn, and purpose. That's why comic readers have long argued that he deserves the same recognition as DC's biggest icons. Of course, what really sets Mr. Terrific apart are his inventions, specifically the T-spheres. These floating orbs are some of the most versatile gadgets in the DC universe. They can hack security systems, project holograms, generate force fields, scan environments, serve as communication hubs, even function as weapons when needed. In Superman, fans finally saw these in action, and it instantly clicked. These weren't toys or background props, they were extensions of Holt's genius. Proof that he could stand toe-to-toe with superpowered gods using nothing but his mind and his tech. And then there's his mask. It makes him invisible to machines. Cameras can't capture him, microphones can't hear him, and sensors can't track him. To technology, he's a ghost. It's one of the coolest low-key powers in comics, and seeing it teased in live action was a massive win for fans. But Holt's importance goes beyond gadgets. In the comics, he wasn't just a member of the Justice Society of America, he became its chairman. Think about that. A team filled with gods, warriors, and mystics, and they chose a man with no powers to lead them. That's how much his intelligence and strategy mattered. Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, even said Holt was the smartest person he'd ever worked with. And considering Alan Scott's history spans nearly a century, that's no small compliment. Holt's leadership solidified him as more than a side character. He was the backbone of the JSA, someone trusted by legends and respected by peers. Which brings us back to the present. Mr. Terrific isn't just a one-and-done addition to Superman. Rumors suggest DC Studios has plans for him going forward. Maybe a spin-off series, maybe even his own solo film. Fans are already imagining the possibilities. Picture Holt teaming up with Batman in the DCU. In the comics, Batman respects Holt more than almost anyone. He considers him a peer, a fellow strategist, and someone whose genius he genuinely admires. A dynamic like that on screen would be groundbreaking. It would show general audiences that Mr. Terrific isn't just the tech guy. He's a leader, a thinker, and a hero who can stand alongside DC's greatest. For fans who want to dive deeper, here are the must-reads. Mr. Terrific, Year 1. A modern retelling of his origin, the 1999 JSA run. His first major role on a superhero team, the Terrifics, where he leads a quirky, inventive team of his own. The great part is you don't need to read decades of back issues. Holt's story is accessible, and you can jump in without feeling lost. From a nearly forgotten Arrowverse side character to one of the standouts of James Gunn's Superman, Mr. Terrific's journey proves how powerful good storytelling can be. James Gunn saw potential in a hero most of Hollywood would have ignored. And by giving him the spotlight, he's sparked a whole new wave of interest in Michael Holt's legacy. So here's the big question. If Superman is the greatest hero and Batman the greatest detective, could Mr. Terrific end up becoming the greatest mind of the DCU? And maybe, just maybe, does he deserve his own solo project to prove it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more deep dives into the new DCU.